Good evening, everyone. My name is Ian Wallace. I am the Student Recruitment and Liaison Officer for the College of Business and Law, and I'm joined here by a wonderful panel from the BIS programme, who are to give you plenty of information and insight from a lot of experiences that they've had, both academic and work-related as alumni as well. So without further ado, we'll kick off and I'll just talk you through what we're going to be dealing with this evening. We're going to get a programme overview very shortly from Professor Joseph Feller and Dr. Gay Kiley. And then following that, we're actually going to receive insight from a current student, Eva O'Sullivan, and then two fantastic BIS graduates are going to give their experience of the BIS course and where they're currently at in terms of their career path as well, and how the degree got them there. So that's what we're set for this evening. We also have a Q&A section at the end of the evening as well, but please don't be afraid to start asking your questions as soon as the content is being pushed out to you. So if you think of a question during the program overview, don't hesitate to throw the question into the chat function to the right there, and we'll get to it either during the other presentations or during the Q&A section. It might be addressed verbally. So without further ado, I will now hand you over to Professor Joe Feller and Dr. Gay Kiley for their input on the programme itself. So thank you very much.
That's great. Thanks, Ian. So thanks everyone for coming out tonight. We're delighted to see so many people thinking about our program, and maybe for next year or maybe for a couple of years down the line, depending on which stage you are in your school career at this point. So like Ian said, I'm going to take just a few minutes to give kind of a real high level overview of what BIS is about, and maybe some of the things that make it a bit different than a lot of the other programs that are out there, and I suppose maybe some insight into whether or not this might be the right program for you, right? So there's just a few points there on the slide. You can have a look at it. The most important one being CK203, commit that to memory. But the kind of highlight, I suppose, kind of the distinctive features of the program. So I suppose in really broad strokes, what these words actually mean: business information systems. You'll find a lot of people, and maybe you know people in the program, or people, or friends, or siblings that have done the program. People kind of simplify it and they say, oh, well, it's kind of computer science plus commerce. And it is that to an extent, right? So there is that mix of business and technology subjects, but really it's a lot more than that. So information systems is a very specific set of career paths, a specific set of roles that really boil down to making sense of organizations' problems. So there's a lot of analysis involved, a lot of problem solving, and then designing and building and managing the systems that try to solve those problems. So there's tremendous variety in terms of what people do when they leave BIS. Some of them working very much on the technology side, others very much on the business side. Some, like Philip, who's one of the alumni that's going to talk to you tonight, went and founded his own company, right? So there's a lot of different variety in terms of what people do. And because of that flexibility, it means that the curriculum that we actually teach is really varied, right? So I suppose the one thing I can say about BIS is that our students never get bored. And the reason they never get bored is because there's this constant shifting back and forth between different types of learning, different types of subjects. So, one day they might be focused on a marketing subject or an economic subject, and the next day they're programming or they're building databases, and the next day they're looking at business strategy or they're doing problem solving exercises in terms of mapping information. So just this wide variety of things that people do to prepare for these kind of flexible career options. And the other thing I suppose to say about the career options, because it does tend to be where people kind of start their questioning when they look at university degrees, what's going to happen when I get out the other side? The IS space is actually a very resilient space. It tends to do well when business is good, because as things grow and expand, then companies invest in information systems to fuel that growth and to manage that growth. And then when things get bad, which occasionally they do in any market, companies are really interested in saving money. And one of the ways they save money is they invest in information systems to reduce their costs, right? So kind of good times or bad, IS graduates tend to be in very high demand, right? So talked about those first 2 points. What's maybe more important though is the actual the student as an individual, as a person, right? So when you think about all those different types of careers that IS professionals engage in, there's not, if you like, kind of one skill set that covers those different types of jobs. But the thing that is actually very constant across all of these different careers is you as a person, right? So your ability to work with other people, to collaborate, to lead a team, to communicate effectively, to solve problems creatively and critically, right? All of these sort of very, very personal skills and interpersonal skills. So we actually put a lot of emphasis on that in our curriculum. We actually have a kind of a dedicated curriculum that runs through the 4 years that really just focuses on things like presentation skills, how to run a meeting, how to work a team, how to deal with negative feedback, how to give hard feedback, how to manage projects, and so on, right? So you've got that curriculum that's kind of around the development of you as a person, but then there's also this really rich sort of extracurricular life in BIS as well. So, for example, we meet with all of our first-year students in small groups on a weekly basis to make sure that people are meeting each other and to make sure that they're getting to know the staff and the staff are getting to know them. We do that throughout first and second year. We run an annual anthology, an actual book, where we invite all of the BIS students to submit photography or drawings or poems or short stories or whatever they want to do to express themselves creatively. We pull that together into something that we can publish and share with industry and share with the students and their families. We have an incredibly active student society, the BIS Society, who not only get involved in kind of social and academic stuff on campus, but are also really prominent in the community in terms of doing work for charity groups and so on, running coder dojos for kids and so on. So just an awful lot going on, if you like, sort of around the curriculum that really reinforces that idea that you know, you're there not just to get a degree, but you're there to grow as a person and to you know, make connections with other people and really kind of figure things out. Right? That's a lot of what college is. To be very honest, no matter what you choose to study, it's just kind of figuring things out, figuring out what you want, what you're like, and so on. So one of the reasons, or sorry, one of the things in the program that I really reinforce students in terms of giving them a lot of clarity about, you know, what they might want out of their future, is the fact that all of our students go into a 6-month work placement experience in the 3rd year. Right, so you do the first 2 years as normal. The 3rd year, we've actually compressed the year. It's about 6 months shorter than usual, so it's quite intense. But that then frees up a full 6 months for students to go and work in industry. And basically, throughout 3rd year, we run basically a career fair. We have a couple hundred different partner companies who participate. Some of them have participated in our program for 25 years now, since the very beginning. And so they come and they bring jobs to us and our students apply, and then off they go on placement. So that's, if you like, it helps us get around what's a very common dilemma for graduates, which is that, you know, people want jobs and employers say that's great, but I want experience. And, you know, you get this chicken and egg thing going where, how can I get the experience if you don't give me the job, and so on. So the placement program actually does a really important thing, which is basically you've done your first job before you graduate, right? So you really have something to bring to the table when you go for those graduate roles. But more important than that couple of lines on the CV is you come back from that 6 months placement with a real good sense of what industry is actually about, what is the role of IS, and real big kind of deep insights into yourself as an employee, as a learner, as a collaborator, as a leader, and so on. And we work with partners all over Ireland, but also in the UK, also in the EU. And I used to just put USA there, but actually it's North America now. So we're starting to kind of grow partners in Canada as well. So hopefully, particularly as the world kind of recovers from COVID, that continues to grow because the Canadian industry is actually quite exciting at the moment, right? So then the last point there is just the fact that we do have an advisory board from industry that's been with us again since the beginning. Like, this program's been around since 1993. So to kind of put that into context, it's older than the web, if you want to think about it that way. So I can imagine the kind of change that we've seen over that period of time. But almost from the beginning of the program, we had this group of sort of industry leaders involved as an advisory board. So they're in constant interaction with us and even directly with our students. And the function of that board really is to make sure that our curriculum remains contemporary, that it remains relevant, that you're learning the things that you should be learning as a student, that you're getting exposed to the concerns of industry and so on. And we bring in a number of guest lecturers from the advisory board, but also from all of our different placement partners, our graduate hire partners, and we do a tremendous amount of research in BIS. The staff does this scientific research, and so the different companies that we work with in that research, a lot of those people are also coming into the classroom. So you're constantly hearing, if you like, kind of the voices from industry, and getting insight into the things that they're concerned about. So it's a very, I think it's a very well-rounded program more than anything else, and we can answer, kind of nitty-gritty questions about the curriculum or whatever it is that's on your mind. I think the message is that there's a lot more going on here than just the academics, right? There's this interaction with industry. There's this real focus on, like I said, the personal development process. Real strong to it as well, and a real relevance, I suppose, that comes from that constant interaction with companies.